Cheers! Hello everyone, I'm all dressed up with nowhere to go. The reason I've put a smart shirt on, I've just made a video for my far more popular YouTube channel, and for that I feel I need to dress up, wear socks and generally look reasonable for this channel. You know, take me as you find me, I say, and most of you find me to be a beep, but that's fine. I'm having, this is tonic, by the way. There is no gin in this drink. It is tonic, purely tonic, with some frozen slices of lemon and lime. I could put some gin in, but it's after 12 p.m, so gin would be appropriate for these times, but I'm just having the tonic because I read somewhere that a malaria medicine contains a substance called quinine, which I believe is found. It's Piccadilly Circus here. You wouldn't believe it was a lockdown. Absolutely. I'm not. No, don't. I mustn't be one of those people. So I already am, because I live in a cul-de-sac, so I can see every car and person that comes and goes, and I'm forever shouting through the window. Hopefully they won't hear me. It's part in jest, part in frustration that I'm not brave enough to flaunt the law and go out. Well, I did actually. Mark and I did flaunt the rules a bit last week. Now, amazingly, and this is sod's law, in the UK we're having some lovely weather at the moment. It's Tuesday, the day after Bank Holiday Monday, and we've had some lovely sunny dry weather, the sort of weather that you want to get out into the open air and do things, but of course we can't. So it's so typical that we're not having a standard sort of spring summer with rain and fog and hail. No, we're getting lovely weather just at the time when we're supposed to stay indoors. Anyway, I hope you're all coping. My life and the life of Mark hasn't changed much because we're both considered key workers. Mark works for the NHS and I work in retail, and we both are working as normal. I'll say normal, but Mark's doing his normal hours. I'm doing my normal hours, but I've changed the time I start work. So at the moment, so this is the only difference to my life with the, well, it's not the only, but it's one major change. I'm now starting work at 2 in the morning. Yes, 2 in the morning. So I set my alarm for about 1 o'clock, 1 a.m. And then I put my coffee maker that I have next to the bed and brew myself a cup of coffee and have just enough time to have a cup of coffee, get changed, clean my teeth, have a wash, and go to work. So, you know, we're having to do that because, well, I work in home shopping, picking groceries for people who can't get out or who don't want to be going out at the moment, if you can get a slot. So the idea is, well, we've got so many new staff members, or we're supposed to call them colleagues where I work, but no, staff. We've got so many staff members, new people that I don't recognise. Every time I go in, there's new people. So we must have more than double the normal amount of staff working on my department. So a lot of them are coming in at 2 in the morning, but some are coming in later on. So it's basically to get more slots available, and also I think part of the reason is to get us off the shop floor before we let customers in. And I believe there's a queuing system now. The reason I agreed to start at 2 is the fact I can finish work before the shop actually opens, so I can get my bit of shopping done before any customers, because the last time I finished, we were open and it was ridiculous, but they weren't doing any social distancing. They weren't allowing a limited number of people in the shop at that time. It was just a normal day, people crowding round, and it was awful. Although saying that, there are more staff working when I work, so you can't avoid getting too close to people. So there's no social distancing when I'm at work, with no protective materials. There's no gloves, there's no masks. The only thing that the store I work in has done is to provide some hand sanitizer in bottles near the clocking in machine, and that's all I can see that they've changed for actual staff members. And for basically minimum wage I'm going in, and it's not just, even if you manage to keep 2 metres away from folk, we share the trolleys. Obviously, we fill a trolley, we take these big trolleys out with what we call totes. I think it's 8 totes. Was it 6? I can't remember. I should know, I've been there long enough. But anyway, obviously we're shopping. As you go around the store, you have this Palm Pilot, and it tells you what to pick and where it is, shows a little picture of it. You find the item, you scan it, and you put it into the correct tote, and that's denoted by a shape. So it's easy enough. So people have come in and had very limited training, so they're not doing it exactly right, but I think, they're just there temporarily, a lot of the people. So it's not a difficult job, it's very easy to do, and we have been allowed to wear earphones actually, because we're not open. So I've got myself some new earphones, and I can listen to music, which is better than listening to the radio that they have blaring out, which I can't stand. Being forced to listen to music I don't like, so now I can isolate myself a bit and listen to music I like, so that makes it a little bit more bearable. But as I said, there's no, we're sharing the trolleys, we fill the trolleys, they get emptied, they get put back out again, people touching them. I'm trying to remember to use I do actually have some hand sanitizer, so I'm trying to remember to use that as much as I can, and not touching my face, which is fairly easy not to touch my face while I'm at work, because I'm using my hands all the time to take products. So it's just, as soon as I get home, I normally have a shower now when I get home, but I always wash my hands as soon as I get in. So that's the only change for me. I'm more concerned about my mum, because she, she's a lot more sort of outgoing than I am and likes to meet people. She's fine. She is going out with the dogs once, sometimes twice a day, but the first time she goes out is so early, she hardly ever sees anyone. And when she does see people on her walk, they tend to be observing at least a 2 metre distance. So if my mum didn't have her dogs, she would be, I don't know how she'd cope. She can't go swimming. She likes to go swimming on a regular basis. She can't do that. My brother is getting food in for her, although my mum has been shopping herself. But of course, keeping her hands clean and wiping a steering wheel, and also she's doing all the right things. And she's, she's started knitting again. She's got a jigsaw on the go. She's going to do a bit of grow your own in the garden. She's getting some runner beans, and she's keeping herself busy. She's doing extra jobs around the house. But I don't think, if this goes on for much longer, it's not good for people's mental health. I've been social distancing and self-isolating all my adult life, more or less. So it doesn't bother me. But as I said, my main concern is for my mum. But my eldest brother is Skyping her every night, and I'm FaceTiming her on a regular basis. And, so it has to be done, unfortunately. I did see my mum on Mother's Day. That's the last time I saw her, but, even then we kept a distance. I couldn't hug her. So that was a bit upsetting. So, we've just got to face up to the fact we've got to do this. And there's some people out enjoying the sunshine. No, stop it, Roger. If they want to flaunt the law, that's up to them. I mean, the lockdown for me isn't strict enough. Oh, it's nothing worse than the sound of children. No, it's not strict enough. I'd have everyone locked up properly. Can't go out for anything. No, but that's just me. That's my utopia. It's not for everyone. Obviously, it's not. And I know there will be people struggling with it. But as I said, apart from the hours of work, and things have changed a bit at work, I'm doing the same, and Mark's doing the same. So we've had the Easter weekend, so I haven't been able to get on with much with Mark in. But that's the only thing, you see. The thing about this lockdown, I'm not one for going out, but I will go out. I go out more now. you know, when Mark asked me to if I want to go so and so, in the past I'd have said, oh no, I don't want to, I'm too tired, I've got things to do. But more I do say yes to now, because I'm thinking, look, Roger, you can make that video another day, or you can catch up on your sleep when you're dead, you know. So I do tend to say yes more. And just little things that people take for granted. I mean, we've got a nice little town called Hebden Bridge, quite close to us, that's a very sort of, well, it attracts a certain type of person. It's a bit sort of hippified, organic, vegan type of vibe you get. You know, it's very inclusive, you know. And they have some nice independent shops selling lovely little things, handcrafted things, and vegan food and organic food, and nice little cafes that will do a vegan latte and a vegan cake. Just to be able to just go out, just for the afternoon, couple of hours, nip down to Hebden Bridge, have a look around the shops, go to a cafe, or there's a place, oh crikey, what's it called? There's a nice countryside around Hebden Bridge where we've taken the dogs. I mean, in theory we could do that, but then that's travelling, and there's a bit of a grey area. Are you allowed to go in the car and take your dogs for a walk? You're supposed to stay local. The government haven't said you can't definitely. I mean, it's not that far. I'm thinking Scarfell Pike, but no, it's not that, because that's in the Lake District. Hardcastle Crags, that's what I'm thinking of. That's a lovely walk. And in this weather we've been having, to take Daisy and Molly out in this would have been great. But we have got to keep local. I took them out recently during the lockdown, of course. But I went local. There's a moor not too far from my house. I can go. I've done a few videos from it, if you check back on my channel. So I can take them round. And I did see a few people. There was a group in the middle of the moor chatting, but they were keeping the distance. And I kept the dogs on the lead, in case, you know, anything happened. But, you know, it's easy enough in a large open space to keep away from folk. So, you know, that was nice. But it's just, you can't go to the shops and get anything you want. I mean, you can get most things online, although a lot of online retailers have shut. I thought I'd treat myself to some Lush products, if you know the company Lush, that makes some nice natural sort of beauty products and face packs and soaps and things. I had a feeling they might be closed online, and I went to have a look because I fancied getting some stuff to pamper myself. But pardon me, this is a bit bubbly. But obviously they've shut down their website. A lot of places still are going, but you do expect at this time things are taking longer. Mark is actually, I can't believe this, because Mark is very, very anti home shopping channels. You know, I watch them because I find them entertaining. I don't just sit there just watching anything. I have to be fairly interested in the products. I wouldn't just sit and watch like a makeup hour or women's clothing. I have to be interested in what they're selling. So if it's sort of cleaning products or DIY stuff, or now even gardening stuff, I'm quite enjoying watching gardening stuff. And because unfortunately the garden centres are shut, a load of plants are going to go to waste, which is terrible. And this is a time when people are going to garden centres and getting the bulbs and the plants and all sorts for the gardens. So Mark has actually, because I had the gardening programme on QVC, he's actually ordered some plants. And I've never been keen on ordering plants online or from a shopping channel, because when I used to be a postman, which I'd rather forget about because it was absolutely awful job, even worse than the job I've got now, you got to know sort of what people had delivered on your rounds. You had the same round more or less all the time, and there were certain people that you could tell were fans of home shopping channels. And there was this one person that used to get a lot of plants, but when I looked at them, they were most of them looked dead. But I think things have improved. I'm hoping they have. So I don't know what these plants are going to be like that Mark's ordered, but it's the only option we have at the moment to get them online, unless supermarkets are still selling them. I think you can probably pick up some plants at supermarkets. So that's a change. It's just still quite surreal. I don't watch the news so much anymore. I mean, I did at first watch too much news, but now it just annoys me. I'm thinking, is there anything else you can talk about? Obviously, it's a very important subject that is affecting most of our lives, but give us a break, you know. So I watch one thing. I'll either go online and look at the latest news, or I'll watch one news report, mainly because I want to see if they're putting any more restrictions on our movement or lifting some. That's the reason I'm watching it, because you can just it just gets too depressing, and just now I've forgotten, just stop it. So I tend to now just put things on and on TV that I enjoy watching, stuff that I've enjoyed. You know, I watch comedies, listen to music. I've discovered, I'm quite late to the game, but I've discovered a comedy on Netflix, and I'm absolutely obsessed with it. I love it, and I'd thoroughly recommend it. And it's called Schitts Creek, not S-H-I-T, it's S-C-H-I-T-T, I think. Anyway, basically the premise of the show, if you don't know, there's a rich family, mega rich family, and I can't recall why, but they lost all their money in some fraud case or something. Anyway, they had mansions, and you know, they had the lifestyle of the rich and famous, you know, money no object. So they lost this, but the father happened to buy this backwater town called Schitts Creek. He owned the town for some reason. He bought it for his son David, I think, as a joke. So that's the only place they had. So they were hauled up in this grotty motel in Schitts Creek. After coming from a mansion, they were down to 2 rooms. And I started watching it, and I tend to either watch a trailer of something, or I'll give a new thing 10 minutes of my time before I either continue watching or dismiss it. But for some reason I started watching it, and I thought, well, I'll persevere. You know, it seems all right. But it's grown. I mean, I'm getting all emotional. I've never seen a programme that has the characters have developed. You expect not to like these people, these mega rich people who are now down on their luck. You think, they've got their just desserts, you know. And when you first start seeing them, you see them all shallow, money obsessed, image obsessed, which, yes, some of the characters are. But as the series has gone on, and I'm into season 3 at the moment, I think it could be season 4. I've been binge watching. As the series has gone on, you've grown to know these characters, and they've developed, and none of the characters, you expect not to like them. I like them all. And especially the daughter called Alexis. I think for me, she's the character that has developed the most. She started off, you see this character as a sort of, you know, Kardashian type, it girl, you know, very Instagram type, you know the sort I mean. Just, it's all about the looks, the money, the people, the image. And as I've got to know, I'm feeling, crikey, I'm tearing up. These are not real people. It's ludicrous. But as I've got to know the character Alexis, who I'm assuming possibly was named after Alexis from Dynasty, I don't know, she was probably born around the time Dynasty was on, but her character above all of them she's completely completely changed, but you can see how she's developed, how these people have got used to living in this backwater, and how they're sort of beginning to embracing the people, the culture, the lifestyle change. And it's absolutely, I can't praise it enough. I'm absolutely, you know, even Mark, I've got him, and it takes a while for him to get into stuff, but something about it obviously attracted him. And there's some very, very, they deal with same-sex relationships very well, because one of the characters, and it's actually real life father and son who play David and Johnny, they're real life father and son. I didn't know that at the time, and I thought they looked quite similar, so I looked it up. I didn't know anything about this Schitts Creek until I started watching it. So I found out that they developed and wrote the show, and they're father and son in real life. So David is he sort of had a bit of a fluid sexuality, but he's more or less gay, I think, because now he's with a man. And the way that relationship developed, if you haven't, I won't spoil it if you haven't seen it, but it's absolutely so sweet. It's not. It's just so. It just tugs at your heartstrings, and you feel, you want these people to get together. You want, and also Alexis, she's had different relationships, and you really so invested in those characters. Even the mother Moira. Every character in that show, for me, I just want them to be happy. It's ludicrous. I just can't believe I'm getting emotional over a television programme, but I absolutely love it. So I'm trying not to watch it now because I watch too many and then Mark doesn't see them all. There are a few programmes we watch together, but most of the time we watch separate things. But I'm thinking, like, try not to watch any today, and you can watch a couple when Mark comes home from work and watch them together, because some of the most heart-wrenching and touching storylines we watched together, and I think it's helped our relationship. He was all over me recently, well, I'm not in a dirty way, but in an affectionate way. And it just makes you, I just love it so much. I mean, it's ridiculous. And I was thinking, I'm going to buy that on DVD. I know I can stream it, I'm going to buy it, but you can't get it on DVD in this country. But there's 5 seasons of it on Netflix, and I believe there's going to be a 6th and final season. And so hopefully when that's been shown, they will bring out a nice box set with some extras in the UK, because I'm definitely getting that. Definitely. Absolutely. I can't. Schitts Creek, watch it on Netflix, give it a go. You might just dismiss it, but it's worth persevering. After the first show, I was sort of, yeah, it's all right, but I wasn't fully taken with it. But the more you watch it, it just pulls you in. Absolutely brilliant. That other thing that's popular, though, something about a tiger king, is it, or something, I don't know. I watched the trailer of that and I knew that wasn't my scene, just from the trailer. I thought, no, I'm not watching that. Is it called The Tiger King? Some of you might watch it and think it's great, but I kind of knew that I'm not anything it's got animals in it that I think are exploited. I don't know. And then Mark saw the trailer and I don't think he was bothered. He only asked me about it because there was something on the show Gogglebox where they were watching it, and he said, this thing is absolutely nuts. There's a man who just married 2 blokes, and he wanted to see it. But anyway, I said, well, you can watch it, but I'm not going to watch it. It's not my cup of chamomile. So I was going to say something else to you folks apart from chatting, but anyway, well, I do tend to chat, and this is a chatty video. So yeah, the caravan, there is another 1 or 2 caravan videos coming out, obviously recorded before the lockdown. We did manage to get our first trip away. We were supposed to be going to Whitby, but I've told Mark to forget about that because it's in 2 or 3 weeks, and I said there's no way. Maybe we'll get to the holiday we booked after that. I don't know. It all depends, but what can you do? I think we've only paid a deposit, which we should get back for the Whitby holiday. But, we've invested money in the garden. So Mark's bought some plants. I bought a new chair shaped like a big egg that suspends on a chain. It's not arrived yet, but I like the look of it. And spending more time out in the garden. So, just trying to, make the best of it where we can. We're lucky enough to have a garden to sit out in. We can go for a walk in the local area in a nice, there's countryside around us. We're both working, so we've all got things we've got to put up with. We're better off than a lot of people. We're not on our own, for one. So it's all very, very surreal what's happening, but I think it'll end. The situation we're in will end, but I'm a little bit worried for the future. you know, because I'm of the sort of, I'm a little bit distrusting of governments, of mass media, and I think there's an agenda. They're going to, I think, this is my opinion, it's the opinion of other people, but I think they're going to inflict new laws on us, and they're going to try and get us to get a vaccine. And I've said before, and I've had some negative comments about it, I don't want a vaccine of anything, of no matter what. I don't want anything injected. That's my body, my choice. Unless we're forced to, and they hold me down and jab my arm with poison, then what can you do? I will fight, though. I'm not a fighter on the whole. I'm someone that conforms normally, but when it comes to what I want to put inside my body, then I will fight for the right not to have any vaccinations. And for those people that, I had one person unsubbing because I think it was due to the vaccination issue, I don't know, but it's my opinion, my body. If you want to do it to your body and you're happy with it and think it's going to do you good, that's great, you go for it, but I'm not going to do that. But yeah, just do a bit of research as what's in vaccines. I mean, as a vegan, I shouldn't be having any vaccines because they've all got animal products in, but apparently they also have they take parts from aborted babies. I don't know if that's right, but I've read that they take cells from aborted babies, human babies. But there's all sorts. There's mercury in vaccinations. Mercury is one of the most toxic metals for your body. If I can afford to, I've got amalgam fillings which have mercury in them. Why would they put a toxic metal into a filling that is in your mouth? You know? So if I can afford to, at some point, I'm going to have them all removed and replaced with, you know, a safer filling. But I'm sure the damage has been done long ago. But anyway, whatever you decide to do with your body, just look into it. I wouldn't blindly accept everything you're told, which is something I used to. I used to accept everything that was presented to me, especially if it was on the BBC or in a decent newspaper, what I would consider a decent newspaper. I would believe it. I would think, well, they're not allowed to lie. They can't lie. And I would have believed every word that was on the BBC News. But no, not anymore. Not anymore. And it's been like that for a few years. I started waking up to things, and now that's my truth. It might not be your truth. It's personal to me. I'm not going to start making videos telling you folk what you should be thinking or doing. It's nothing to do with me, what you do with your lives. I have an influence, hopefully, and I have a say in the people's lives that are closest to me. But my mum's going to have that vaccination. I can't. I've said I wouldn't. I'm not going to be able to stop her. If she wants to do that, I can't stop her. If Mark wants to do that, I can't stop him. Mark, you know, I try and influence people, but the way I try and influence people is, well, I used to nag a bit. I was a bit naggy, but I've realised that nagging doesn't work. I know it doesn't work for me. If people nag me to do things, forget it. And I've discovered that, no, it doesn't work for other people. But you can try and influence people by just by the way you're acting, hopefully, and just saying, well, look, I've tried this, blah, 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 it's worked for me, why don't you try it? And yeah, Mark has taken on board a few things I've said, and he's benefited, I'm sure, from a few things. And occasionally he does admit I'm right, and I know I'm right all the time, and I tell him, you'll rue the day I am right, you'll realise that I'm right. But I don't, you know, I half joke. But yeah, I think it is, you know, when you're close to someone and you've got news for them, and you tell them something that you think will benefit them, and they don't take that advice on board, then it is a bit of a stab in the heart, because I'm not saying things to him in order to make his life worse, because I'm trying to influence him because I think it'll make his life better, only because certain things I've done in my life that have improved my life, and I'm thinking, well, it would help him. But people have got to make their own minds up. And at the moment, I better finish soon, but there's a lot of the chipping away at our freedom of speech. I've got to be careful what I say on YouTube. I've got to be careful if I say anything on Twitter or Instagram, because people are having their accounts removed, they're having their YouTube channels taken down because they have an opinion. And it's dangerous that people that are having alternative opinions, their voices are being silenced. What is the problem with people having alternative views? It's up to you watching these people, following them on Twitter, Instagram, watching YouTube channels, whatever. It's you're the one that can decide whether you accept what they're saying, or you decide, well, they've got a point, I'll look into that a bit further. But if they're cutting, all these channels down, if they're taking our voices away and just plugging the sort of the mainstream media and what they want us to know, then we're on a very slippery slope. Why not let people have their say in a free speech society we're supposed to be? But as I said, that's eroding. What harm does it do for other people to have a different viewpoint? I'm totally against people, being racist and homophobic and trying to incite violence. All that, of course, that's wrong. But if, you have an alternative view that's quite out there, but it's not harming anyone for you to have that view, let that view be heard if that's what you want to do. As long as it's not harming folk, that's what I say. If it doesn't harm people, animals, or the natural world, how can it? So why are they suppressing alternative views? Do they not think that people can make their own minds up? Like I'm saying to you, I wouldn't have a vaccination now for anything, even if it meant my movement was restricted, I still wouldn't have a vaccination. Now that's my view. Just because I've said that, it doesn't mean to say that everyone watching this is going to say, well, Roger's not doing it, I'm not going to do it, because of course you're not. You're going to have your own opinion. You might think, well, I might look into that and see if there's any reason why Roger doesn't want to have any vaccinations, or you might not look into it but it doesn't matter. I'm not, the thing is, you watching this, whoever you are, hello, you've got your own minds, you can make your own minds up. I've got my own mind and I'll make my own mind up. I started watching videos on YouTube a few years ago that had totally way out there views, and initially I would watch them and think, oh, that's rubbish. But I did more research and I watched more videos and I thought, hang on, there could be something in this. And I've changed my mind about quite a few things, but not without looking into it for a long time. And also having a gut feeling about things as well. I always go by my gut. And if I think something's right, that tends to be the clincher. Something will just click. And also, I've said this before, I also think I've had help from, a guardian angel or a deceased relative. I feel close to my dad. I've said this before, and it's up to you if you think I'm a crackpot. But there was a simple thing. I lost my watch. I've got, it's dirty. I've got an Apple Watch and I lost it. And I thought, oh, crikey, where is it? And I thought it was in my bedroom. I remember dropping it down somewhere and thinking, I'll get that. I stopped wearing it for a bit. So I went on to this, you can go onto your iPad or iPhone and find your watch, Find My, and it'll tell you where it is. And it gave me an address which was near where I work. It was a very specific address. But it wasn't here where I live. And I thought, I must have dropped it. But anyway, I was still looking for it, thinking I had it, and then I had suddenly in my head, ping, have you tried looking so and so? And it just came out the blue. And I went to where I thought it might be, and unbelievably, it was inside a sealed box that contains a vacuum, but the box has got 2 handles that are open to lift it, and it was next to my bed, this way up, with the open bit at the top, and I had things stamped on them, you know. And instead of where I thought it'd fallen down the side of the box, it must have fallen in the box, and it just suddenly came instantly into my head, go and check that box, open that box. So I had to undo the box, it was sealed up, and lo and behold, there was my watch inside that box. And that came completely out of the blue. And a lot of things that I feel have benefited my life have just been bolts from the blue, you know, the eureka moment. They've just been, and although a lot of the things in my life I've come to through research and work, but there are some things that you think you've been given that information, that's come because somebody or something wants you to know that. So whether it's finding a watch or finding out far more important things, trust that when you hear that little voice in your head, trust it, listen to it, don't ignore it. That's what I say. But again, you can do what you like because you have free will. Well, most of us have free will. We can be controlled by governments, the police, whatever. We're controlled, but no one can control what's in our head. And I can't control the Royal Mail turning up. So on that note, it's goodbye, and I'll see you all very soon. Keep busy, keep your chins up, and we'll get through this very soon, hopefully. Bye for now.